Right, so this is going to be the last sermon in this series called Equipped, with this idea that God has equipped us, God has equipped you for everything that you need to fulfill the purpose that He has for you. So He has given you at the time of your conversion, right? That's step one. If we need to talk about that, you're in the right place. Right? But as long as you believe and you are a Christ follower, He has given you everything that you need to fulfill your purpose. And I believe that God has equipped us at Hickory Grove for everything that we need for such a time as this to fulfill the purpose and the mission that He has for us. So today, the last sermon in this series, we're going to be in Nehemiah. In Nehemiah, I love that guy. Nehemiah, equipped to build. Equipped to build. So let's talk about my man Nehemiah for a little bit. He's a guy from God's people. He's from Israel, but when we pick up our story, he's no longer there. He's no longer there in Israel. He's moved away, and he is the primary author of this book, of the book. Nehemiah, he is the author of that. And most of it, it's really cool. Most of it is written, the book of Nehemiah is written from a first-person perspective. We don't get that oftentimes, but here in Nehemiah, we kind of get that. And he's gotten out of his home city, and he's working for the king. And we meet him as he's an adult, and he's in the Persian royal court there, and he's a cupbearer for the king, for King Xerxes. This is where we meet him, and that's what he does, right? This role in the kingdom has status, and he just sits there and he holds the juice for the king all day, and Tessa does all those things. And what we're going to see is that this role obviously puts Nehemiah in a standard, right? That we know that he is an upholding young man. And although he's remained in Persia, this is what we see in Persia, after the exiles have actually been allowed to go back to Israel, right? They've been out of Israel. They got dispersed out of Israel for a long period of time. Now they've been allowed to go back. But although Nehemiah has chose to stay in the king's court. And we pick this up, and in about 444 BC, Nehemiah goes back to Israel. And he's leading the third return. There were three actual returns that they tried to go back and do things in Israel. And this is the third and the final trip that they make following 70 years. 70 years that they've been in exile. And this is following that. And this is just a historical look. And here we are. We find Nehemiah living in luxury. Right? He's into the finer things of life. Right? He's got a lot of good things going on, Nehemiah does, where he's at in the king's court. But yet, many years ago, his people were taken into captivity, and that's always left a resounding effect on his life. Right? That you had this large city, and it was walls all around. It was a fortified place, and then what we find out is those walls came crashing down. The walls of the city were in turmoil, right? And Nehemiah goes back, right, in this journey. He's checking on his family, his friends. He's wanting to know what's going on, right? Get an update on everything. What's going on back home? And this is where we pick up the scripture today in Nehemiah chapter 1. We're going to read those first few verses. Nehemiah chapter 1 and verse 1. And the words of Nehemiah, son of Hakaliah, in the month of Kislev, in the 20th year, while I was in the citadel of Susa, Hananiah, one of my brothers, came from Judah with some other men. And I questioned them about the Jewish remnant that has survived the exile, and also about the city Jerusalem. And they said to me, those who survived the exile and are back in the province are in great trouble and disgrace. You see, the wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates have been burned with fire. Nehemiah says this. He says, when I heard these things, I sat down and I wept. For some days I mourned and I fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. We pick up Nehemiah, and he's gotten word about his city, about his country, of where what he loved, right? His families are still there. And we see that, what do they tell him? They tell him the walls have come down. He gets word, right, that listen, Nehemiah, this city is in shambles, right? Everything is a disaster, really. And this is what he comes back. But we look at it and we see that the wall's down. We may ask, well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? It's just a wall. It's just a couple of gates. But in Jerusalem, you see these walls, and with any big city, these walls were vital. They signified protection. They signified identity. They symbolized authority. Right? They kept the purpose alive. They kept their hopes alive, their dreams. Right? These walls, they would keep the enemy out. They would keep everything of success on the inside. And every time they tried to get their crops again, because they didn't have the walls up, the enemy would come in and steal their crops, take over their stuff. Every time they started building a new life, enemies would come in and take everything away from them. They didn't have that security of the wall. The walls were fortified. They were stability. Walls provided purpose. Walls gave them identity. When Nehemiah gets this report, the walls have been down. Not for 1 year. Not for 2 years. Not for 5 years. Not for 10 years. The walls have been down for 120 years. 120 years, these walls. I started to think about this as I read this text, right? Nehemiah is getting permission from the king. He asks the king to go back to Jerusalem, and he gathers all the people in this community. They talk about they want to rebuild these walls. Nehemiah goes there. He says, let's do this. Let's rebuild these walls. These walls that have been down for 120 years. Let's rebuild them. Yeah, Nehemiah, it sounds like that's an awesome idea, but it makes me think. It makes me think, how did the walls stay down for so long? Why were the people okay with the walls being down for 120 years? For 120 years, nothing happened. The walls were crumbled. They were a bunch of rocks, a bunch of bricks on the ground, all rubbles on the ground. Can you imagine coming home from the grocery store? And before you go to your house, you've got to step over the rubble. Hey, what? Imagine your kids are going to school, and on their way to school, guess what they had to do? They had to walk over and across the rubble. Hey, you go to church, and you get to church, and before you get to church, you've got to maneuver through all of the mess on the ground for 120 years. And I imagine they were probably thinking, hey, somebody ought to do something about this. Somebody ought to clean this stuff up. It'd be nice to have our walls back. Can someone please come and fix the walls? You ever had a pothole on your road? Hey, come on, city. Come on. What's taking the city so long to come and fix this pothole on the road? Right now my alignment's all jacked up. Can someone please come fix the hole? Walk home sometimes, and they would see that they would get discouraged because understand that you're walking through this. It's a reminder of the enemy. It's a reminder, right, that the enemy can come in at any time and take what they wanted. 120 years. I mean, I think we can all agree that's a long time. You're having kids. You're telling them, yeah, we used to have this really awesome wall here that would protect us. They walk buy that for 120 years. Started thinking about this. Started thinking that we all have stuff that's on the ground that we keep walking past. Right? Because, listen, Nehemiah's not even there. Right? Nehemiah's in the palace with the king. He's with the cup. He's not even in the rubble. And his heart goes out. It says he wept and he mourned and he fasted. Why? For the brokenness of his community. I got to believe one of the things that Nehemiah was thinking was, how do you guys not see the value in the wall? How do you not see that this wall, how important it is to our city? And what I've learned just in I'm in my 50th year. And what I've learned is that if we don't see the value in something, we often won't do anything about it. Right? If we don't see the value in something, we won't pick up the rubble. We won't pick up the stone. We won't pick up the gate. We'll just leave it as it is. If you don't see the value in something, you won't do anything about it. So, church, my question for you today is, what is your it? What's your it? What's your it? What's the thing that you've been stepping over? What's that it in your life that you keep going past? For some of you, maybe it's your marriage. You don't like to talk about it, right? But it's about to get real, right? We're all good on the wedding day. I love you to death do us part. As I said those words literally right here, right? We say those words. I love you to death do us part. But now you're in the I'm ready to kill you so we can part phase of your marriage. Right? You're 3 years in. You got issues. Hey, have you ever married people? You ever walked into the house and you felt like you were having a good day? Hey, you know what I'm talking about. You just had a great day at work, things just working out. And as soon as you open the door, boom, it is there. Right? We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to bring it up, but it has hit the fan. All right, and some of us, we're married, right? We're no longer in love. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about what's going on. We just learned how to exist in the same house. Come on, let's be real today. Right? You're just two business partners who share a bed. Right? Then you're here at church. Hey guys, how's your marriage going? Man, we are blessed and highly favored of the Lord. Come on. I'm married. Right? And you're like squeezing the hand. You're like, say something. I dare you to say something. You better not say, right, I'll have a headache for 3 months. You better not say nothing. And you're unwilling to come to the table of honesty, right, to work through it. So you just learn how to manage, right? You get to the house, and I'll go to the TV. You go to your chair. We're not going to talk about it. Every day we're just like, take the kids to the sports game. Let's not deal with it. What is your it, church? What is it? Hey, for some of you, your it's your purpose in life. You're just trying to figure this out, right? God's put something inside of you that only you can accomplish. He's wired you in a way that he wants to utilize your gifts to do something for his kingdom. He keeps speaking to you over and over again. And what do we say? I ain't got the time for it. I'm too busy for it. I'm not qualified for it. I can't do it. You keep walking around it and you keep excusing it. And you talk about your background. You talk about your family. You talk about all the things that you don't have. If you were in a different position, you would do it. But I can't do it, so I just keep escaping it. Someone else can get to that. Someone else can do it. Someone else has time for that. I'm too old for that. I'm too young for that. I'm not smart enough for that. I'm too smart for that. That's below me. That's above me. And we get all these excuses why we don't deal with it. Your dream. Some of you have maybe a dream that you're it, and Some of you have been dreaming about a business, an idea, a career, a new lifestyle. You've got a dream that's in you, that God's put in you, that we never pick up, that we never try to fulfill. I don't ever do anything with it. I'd like to be used in this kind of arena. I don't know how to even get into that. Instead of picking it up, we keep walking over it. We get all these excuses. I'm not the right age. I don't have the connections. I don't know anybody. Don't have enough money. We live in regret. We live in regret so many times. Right? We're at home and we're wondering, we see someone else doing something, right? And it hits you, man. Exactly what God's called me to do. Exactly the situation I think He's put me in. Maybe you're it's people. Maybe you're it's people. Right? Can I just submit to you that some of us have been stepping over people in our lives? Right? You don't see the value, so you're unwilling to pick them up. Right? My coworker, there's no way they're ever going to do anything for the glory of God. Right? They are the devil at work. I would really love that, but there's no way my brother would ever come to church. I mean, he would never, ever bark in the doors of a church. There's no way. He's anti-church. Doesn't want nothing to do with it. I'm not even going to bother with it. I'm not going to even talk about it. I don't even want to start a fight. We've got these people in our lives, if we're really honest, that we don't see the value. Maybe they don't look like us. They don't dress like us. They don't act like us. They don't do what we do. They don't live how we live. And we just keep walking past them every day. I used to go to church with a lady. And she had 3 boys. And she was getting older in life. Her boys were grown. And her husband wasn't the best husband. He didn't treat her well. And so they divorced. Right? He was very abusive. They divorced and were divorced for many, many, many years. But it came a time to where this husband came down with cancer. He got cancer. So what this wife did, she brought him back into her house, and she took care of him till he passed away. I don't know if I'd sign up for that. I don't know if I'd sign up for that after years and years and years of abuse, raising 3 boys, and it comes time, and he gets in his time of need. And she says, I forgive you. Come on. And for the last journey of your life, I'm going to take care of you. That's what she did. I'm here to tell you that if you see the value in people, you'll pick them up. You'll pick them up. I don't care what they've done. I don't care what they did. I don't care, right, how long it went on. I guarantee you that it's worth more for us to pick it up than leave it on the ground. What happens is they start, right, Nehemiah is a great leader. He starts to develop a plan, and we're going to read this plan, and bear with me as I read this plan to you, because it will remind you of the begats in Genesis that you never get past in reading your Bible for the entire year. Right? But this is part of Nehemiah's plan. All right? So just bear with me as I read Nehemiah chapter 3, verses 17 on. Bear with me. We're going with this, all right? Nehemiah 3:17. Next to him, the repairs were made by the Levites under Rehum, son of Bani. Beside him, Hashabiah, ruler of half the district of Keilah, carried out repairs for his district. Next to him, the repairs were made by their fellow Levites under Benui, son of Henadad, ruler of the other half district of Keilah. Don't check these phonics on me, okay? Next to him, Ezra, son of Jeshua, ruler of Mizpah, repaired another section from a point facing the ascent to the armory as far as the angle of the wall. Next to him, Baruch, son of Zebul, zealously repaired another section from the angle to the entrance of the house of Elishib, the high priest. Next to him, Meremoth, son of Uriah, the son of Hakaz, repaired another section from the entrance of Elishib's house to the end of it. The repairs next to him were made by the priests from the surrounding region. Beyond them, Benjamin and Hasab made repair in front of their house. And next to them, Azariah, son of Maaseiah, the son of Ananiah, made repairs beside his house. And next to him, Benua, son of Henadad, repaired another section from Azariah's house to the angle in the corner. And Palal, son of Uzai, worked opposite the angle in the tower projecting from the upper palace near the court of the guard. Next to him, Pedaiah, son of Parosh, and the temple servants living on the hill of Ophel made repairs up to a point opposite the water gate toward the east and the projecting tower. Next to them, the men of Tekoa repaired another section from the great projecting tower to the wall of Ophel. And above the horse gate, the priests made repairs, each front of his own house. Next to them, Zadok, son of Immer, made repairs opposite the house. Next to him, Shemaiah, son of Shechaniah, the guard of the east gate, made repairs. Next to him, Hananiah, son of Shelemiah, and Hanan, the sixth son of Zaloth, repaired another section. Next to them, Meshullam, son of Berechiah, made repairs opposite the living quarters. Next to him, Malchijah, one of the goldsmiths, made repairs as far as the house of the temple servants and the merchants opposite the inspection gate. And as far as the room above the corner, and between the room above the corner and the sheep gate, the goldsmiths and merchants made repairs. Next to him, church, right? You got to work with the person next to you. If we're going to build something, if we're going to do something, if you're going to do something in your life, you're going to have to work with the person next to you. If we're going to build something here at this church, right, if we're going to work and try to fulfill, right, what I believe the mission God has given us, guess what? I need you to build the wall in front of your house. What they did, right? That's all they did, right? They stood beside the person next to him, next to him, next to him, next to him. That's all we got to do. That's all we got to do, right? Is to build the wall in front of us every day. Every day. Work on your wall. Work on the place in front of your house. How many times did we read, right? In front of their house, in front of their house, next to him, in front of their house. That's all we got to do. Right? There's not going to be some elaborate plan, right? There's not going to be a 12-step process that I share with you, right, on how we move forward. There's not a 12-step process as much as you want to believe it in your life, right? If you try to pursue God and build, right, the temple, the wall in front of you, the biblical wall in front of you, guess what? You will fulfill your purpose. You will fulfill the plan that God has for your life. Just build that biblical wall in front of you. So then what? Jump ahead to Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 15. Man, you know how big Jerusalem is? You know how long, how thick, how tall, how long the wall of Jerusalem is? It took us 20 years to build I-77, right, extension. Man, we talked about 485 for 50 years. Nehemiah 6:15, so the wall was completed on the 25th day of Elul in 52 years. Nope. Not 52 years. 52 days. 52 days. Here's what I know. Here's what I know. You see, the walls that have been down for 120 years, Nehemiah steps up to the scene and he rebuilds it in what? 52 days. Man, Nehemiah, Goodness, man, he is one heck of a contractor. Man, he must do really good stonework. No, he's a layman. Nehemiah wasn't a prophet. Some people believe he's a prophet. Nehemiah was not a prophet. He wasn't a priest. He just loved Jesus. He was a layman. Right? And here's what I want to let you know. I don't know what it is for you. I don't know what your it is. Maybe it is your marriage, your kids. Maybe it is your addiction. Maybe it's your family, your past, your parents, your purpose, your calling. But here's what I want you to know, church. That no matter what your it is, what's been laid dormant for decades can be rebuilt in days. You believe that? Do you believe that? I don't care what your family looks like. Right? I don't care how that relationship looks. I don't care what your calling, your purpose. I don't care how jacked up it looks right now. What's been laid dormant for decades can't be rebuilt in days. God can turn your family around. God can turn around your siblings, your story, your past. He's a good God. He's a good Father. What's been laid dormant for all that time that you've been stepping over with a little bit of work and a little bit of effort can be repaired in days. In days. It's not beyond repair. It's not gone too far. I don't care what you felt like that damaged it, right? What you felt like you couldn't do. Because here's what I know about our God. Here's what I know about our God. God can use what you'll be willing to give him. God will use what you are willing to give him. What's interesting about this story? Right, here's what a lot of people think. Well, Chris, I don't know how to build nothing. I don't know how to build anything. Listen, I worked most of my career at Stanley Black & Decker. All right, every Christmas, they would give us pallets of power tools. All right? Chris would bring those pallets of power tools home, and guess where they are? They're in my building. You ever need anything to walk, just come to my building, look and see what you need, because it's probably there. Chris can't use none of it. Wouldn't know where to begin. I'll gladly share it. I don't know how to build anything, Chris. Listen to me. Nehemiah was a cupbearer. He had clean fingernails, freshly manicured. He wasn't a contractor. He wasn't a construction worker. What did he have? He had the heart. He was broken. He was broken. What did we read in Nehemiah 1? That he wept. That he wept, that he fasted. Hey, he had a heart. He was just willing to do whatever it took. He gets to the place, he's like, man, we got to rebuild this wall. We got to rebuild it. We can't rebuild it fast enough. Somebody, hey, go to Lowe's. Go to Lowe's. Hey, you go to Home Depot. We got to get everything that we need to rebuild this wall. We got to get new material. You got to use new material. You got to use new material. All right, some of you say you think. You think that about your life. You need something new to fix the old. You like, if I just had the right family, if I had the right mom, the right dad, the right bank account, if I just had a better relationship, a better environment, all my problems would get fixed. Right? We see this with Nehemiah. Something we need to understand today is you don't need an outside source to fix an internal issue. You don't need an external source to fix an internal problem. Let's do what we have left. Use what you have left. I know it looks messed up. I know it looks like it can't be fixed. I know it looks like it's beyond repair, beyond God's approach, but whatever strength you have left, just use what you have left. There's enough still in that marriage, in that family, in your purpose, in that calling, in your future. Use what you have left. God, just use my life. No one messed up. No one jacked up. Use what you have left. Some of us keep looking for something new. And we see what Nehemiah says. No, guys. Hey, you see that? You see those old rocks? You see those old stones? Let's pick them up and build a wall. Take that old rickety gate. We're going to put that gate right back up. Let this be a reminder to all of us that God can make something beautiful out of our ashes. Be a reminder that God can take broken things and He can make them new again. Let this be a reminder who is a good God, who is a faithful God. God doesn't need to change who we are to help us be who we are. That God doesn't need to change who we are for us to become who He already called us to be when He created us. You're not going to ever change that. Hey, He can take the messed up person that I am and use me to do something glorious through and only through His mighty and awesome name. Use what you have left. Hey, we can talk about all these messages about God being able to do something make something beautiful out of our mess. You may be thinking, how's God going to do anything with this? How is God going to use me? This jacked up, ugly rock, slider, this conceit. How is He going to use me with my crazy family life? How is He going to use me, the addict, the cheater, person that's addicted to some terrible stuff? How can God do anything special with that? All I saw was this crazy jacked up rock. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't perfect. But here's what I've learned from the text of Nehemiah. You see, these walls were rebuilt with all the rubble, not perfect rocks, messed up rocks. Here's what I've learned. And here's what we got to learn, right? This is what you got to learn in your life, right? Because you are just a jagged up rock that the corners are pointy and they don't. You don't look and see that they fit this perfect little round hole, right? I can't fit in with these other jacked up, jagged rocks. They just won't fit. And I will challenge you that you're trying to fit in with the wrong rock. Right? And here's what I've learned. Right? That all you have to do is to put your rock on the rock. That's all you got to do. You got to put your rock on the rock. That's all we have to do. Right? I'm talking about that stone. Right? The stone that those builders rejected? Yeah, that's the stone. That's the stone. That's the cornerstone. Right? That I want you to put your rock on top. Because here's what's going to happen. Each one of us, right? 7,500 people in this room, right? We're going to each put our rock on the rock. You're going to be amazed at what God builds. I don't care if you have a background that's abusive and addictive. Just put your rock on the rock. I don't know what kind of family you come from. I don't know what kind of things that you regret in your life. Just put your rock on the rock. Right? If you put your rock on the rock, God's going to make something beautiful out of our mess. God's going to turn your story around. He's going to use everything together for good that the enemy meant for bad. And we serve a good God that can use anybody's story, that will use anybody's story. But first, we've got to take action. We've got to take action. Right? We've got to understand, right, that our rock is all we need. Right? That if we'll just take care of the Yeah. And guess what? Guess what? We were like, well, the wall's not going to be uniform. The wall's not going to be right like it's built together. This section of the wall is going to look different than this section of the wall. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? Right? But if we will all use that foundation, that solid rock, right? The rock that the builders did reject. If we will all put our rocks, although they look different, and although we use different methods, and we use different grout, we use all of that stuff to build our section of the wall, as long as it's built on that solid rock, that foundation, the wall will stand. And the wall will fortify you from everything that the enemy is going to try to toss across that wall. He's got a purpose for you. I want you to understand that. Right? I don't care if you're 8 or 80. It doesn't matter. Right? Listen, I want this church to be a multi-generational church. Right? That we can be a resting place, a beacon in this community. For everybody. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what they look like. Right? It doesn't matter what their belief system is. Right? It doesn't matter what they call themselves. Doesn't matter. We want to be open. We got to be welcoming for all. Now listen, that doesn't mean we don't agree with all that. No, it means that we're going to get them. We're going to love them. We're going to teach them the gospel. That the gospel is enough for whatever void they're trying to fill. But it starts with us. It starts with us building that wall in front of each and every one of us. Will you build your wall with me? Will you build your wall with me? Will you help? Let's build this. Let's build this wall around Hickory Grove. We'll be fortified. Not to keep people out, but just that we can fulfill our purpose. Right? But it starts with you. It starts with you getting right with your God. Right? It starts with you being able to fulfill your purpose. And I'm telling you, I believe with everything that I am, God has given us everything we need to move us